I cannot believe that I'm saying this right now, but the NBA season is almost among us. In fact, in exactly 1 month from the day I'm uploading this video, we're going to have our first NBA game. And even before that, there are preseason games, and it's just starting so soon. And you know what? One team has made some underrated offseason moves, even though people have been judging them for it. And of course, I mean the Golden State Warriors, because this offseason, they did quite a lot. They lost Klay Thompson, which was probably the biggest piece of their offseason, but they also gained Kyle Anderson and another bunch of pieces that I think can be great for them, along with a huge draft pick that, he flew under the radar being drafted late in the second round, but I think that he can contribute massively. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the Warriors' current situation, 1 month away from the start of the NBA season. Let's get hyped and let's get right into it. Let's start off with breaking down all of their off-season moves, because it was rumored and I was 100% confident last season that they were going to get rid of Andrew Wiggins and Kevon Looney by the trade line, or maybe even at the very latest the offseason, but they actually didn't get rid of either. Instead, they got rid of Klay. And now their current roster stands like this. They've got Steph at the 1, Jonathan Kuminga at the 2, 3, 4. He's interchangeable. Then they picked up Buddy Hield over the offseason, who was a great player for the Phillies last season. They also picked up Kyle Anderson, who of course was on the Wolves team. And Slow-mo, his style of play is extremely interesting, but don't take that away from him averaging 7, 3, and 4. He's definitely a solid contributor to a team. Additionally, they got DeAnthony Melton, who last season averaged surprisingly 11, 3, and 3 in 27 minutes per game. However, his shooting was a bit inefficient, and he got injured for most of the season with lumbar spine stress response. So it's going to be a bit questionable what happens with him this season, but the games that he did play last season, he was pretty stellar in them. And of course, they got Lindy Waters III from the Oklahoma City Thunder on a draft day deal. And in the same draft day deal, they drafted Roman Sorkin, a player who, he played okay for them in the summer league. He averaged 15 points per game in the summer league. But with that, they also drafted this absolute demon, Quinton Post. Now, he only played 2 summer league games because he was getting his conditioning in. But in those games that he played, he was really good, averaging 15, 3, and 1. Now, while that doesn't sound crazy, the more I tell you about him, the more impressive he is. First things first, he is a center, a 7-foot center, 244 pounds, but he can shoot the 3 ball, because in college he averaged 45% from the 3-point line, which fits perfectly into this Warriors system. And that's another thing that I want to talk about right now, because the Warriors system, it's looking quite interesting for this upcoming season. With the loss of Klay Thompson, you would expect their catch and shoot 3-point volume to go down, right? Well, not exactly. Because with Buddy Hield, they basically just got a replacement for Klay Thompson. Now, he isn't on the same level, and he can't match the same volume, but with also the addition of Kyle Anderson, they might be able to bring back the same level of efficiency that they had last season. Additionally, I think that this team is going to be extremely defensively oriented. And I'll be totally honest, as a Warriors fan, I want that. Because the Warriors have had quite a bad defense for the past many seasons. While their offensive rating has always been some of the highest in the league, their defensive rating has been horrible. They allow among the most points in the entire NBA, and their opponent field goal is 46.6%, which, by the way, that is the 10th worst in the entire NBA. They're just not good when it comes to playing defense. But when when you look at this roster, I mean, look, you got Steph Curry, who he hasn't been the best defender his entire career, but he has been improving on it later. And then you've got Jonathan Kuminga, who has always been a pretty good defender. Buddy Hield, not a good defender. Brandon Pajemski, he has hustle 100. That guy's I mean, he can definitely defend. Andrew Wiggins, he's been on multiple all defensive second teams. He's great. Kyle Anderson, he's also a pretty good defender. Draymond Green, I don't even have to say anything. Guy was a DPOY a few times. Trace Jackson Davis, last season he showed how good his defense was, averaging multiple blocks per game. If I'm not wrong, I'm pretty sure he was 20th in blocks per game last season, and that was only as a rookie. So he is a great defender. Then for the other players filling the edges of the roster, you've got GP2, who, although he is an undersized guard, only being 6'3", he is one of the better defenders on this entire team. Kevon Looney, he absolutely locked up Domantas Sabonis a few years ago, and I still haven't forgotten about that. Then you've got Moses Moody, DeAnthony Melton, and of course the other people on the roster who, while they don't have the best defense, they can lock it up. They won't let easy buckets slide. What I'm trying to say is that, look, this team next season, it could be scary. If they get their offense sorted together, I mean, yes, they lost a few pieces this offseason, but at the same time, they also retained a lot of pieces and they got new ones. If they can get their offense to work, I mean, I think it's wraps for the league, guys. The rest of the league, yes, it looks extremely, extremely strong, but some teams have taken, I would say, quite the dip. I mean, the Clippers lost Russell Westbrook, who went to the Nuggets, but the Nuggets have just been losing pieces for multiple seasons at this point, and Jamal Murray just signed a huge deal, which really clogs up their cap space. They won't be able to make any big moves for the next couple of seasons. However, the Nuggets also took Dario Saric, and Dario Saric was a pretty good player on the Warriors, if I must say so, because while he didn't provide the most of a contribution, he did stuff. And doing stuff, usually it's better than not doing stuff. That's really all I can say. Because, I mean, the Warriors have had a lot of role players in the past couple of years, but I'm hoping that the acquisitions they made this offseason isn't just going to be role players. I hope that they're going to be maybe not the future stars of this team, maybe not cornerstones, but valuable players that we can keep for a while. I mean, just look at teams like the Celtics. Why have they succeeded so much in the past? Well, they've been able to keep players that are good. Not all-star level, not DPOY level, but just good players. For example, Al Horford, Peyton Pritchard. Who else have they had? Derek White. They were able to keep Marcus Smart for nearly 70 years, even though, I mean, he has been one of the best defensive players in the league. They were underpaying him criminally. You look at the Heat, their entire roster is just solid role players backed up with Bam and Jimmy Butler, who, yes, they're good, but they're not as good as, I mean, look, Steph Curry. The Warriors have Steph Curry. As long as the new people on this Warriors team step up, this team is poised to make quite a jump in the playoffs. However, one team that I do think may be able to dethrone them, yes, I'm not going to spend this full video telling you how great the Warriors are because that would probably be a bit unfactual, is the Oklahoma City Thunder because they have Shea, Chet, Jalen Williams, Isaiah Hartenstein, Caruso, Lou Dort, Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins. They have a deep roster. However, with all that being said, the Warriors have beat this team before, and they've beat them multiple times. It's definitely not like the Thunder are the Warriors' kryptonite. In fact, it may just be the other way around. Steph Curry has been so good against the Thunder his entire career, and I think that trend is going to keep up, not only with the Thunder, but with every other team. Last year, he was honestly a top 10. If you don't like me saying that, honestly, just click off this video. Top 10 maybe top 15 at the very worst, but I would argue that he was a top 10 player last season. And he was good. He was just so good, averaging 26 points per game along with 4 rebounds and 5 boards. Now, while his turnover numbers did spike up a bit, it was also because his team was just a bit incompetent and young. Now that his team is getting older, Brandon Pajemski no longer a rookie. You've got Trace Jackson Davis no longer being a rookie. I mean, Klay Thompson is leaving, but he wasn't the most efficient player. The Warriors might be able to make something happen. And I say that with absolutely zero bias because while I am a Warriors fan, I truly believe this for myself. Steph, he can do anything. We saw that in the Olympics. We're going to keep seeing it over the next couple of years, and I think that it'll just remain true until the day he retires. Now, one final player that I want to talk about on this Dubs roster isn't actually going to be Jonathan Kuminga because I have a video coming in a few days that's talking about him, and that one, oh boy, is it long, and it's just about him. But I'm going to talk about Pajemski in this video because Pods, I mean, he's probably one of my favorite Warriors players on this roster. He was absolutely on a tear during the summer league. He had a game with 21, 12, and 7. In fact, the only game he played in the summer league. And last season, he was one of the best rebounding guards in the entire NBA. The Warriors have been reporting that they want to let him shoot shots a lot this season. They want him to basically be the Klay Thompson of this team. They want him to chuck everything the second he gets an open look, or honestly, not even an open look. The second he gets a look, just throw up the shot. And if that happens, points per game are going to increase, and I think that this offense can really rally around him, considering how good of a player he's shown to have been only in his rookie season. Frankly, this Warriors roster has components that I can talk about for hours among hours. But for this video, that's it. I'll catch you guys on the other side. Subscribe for tons of Warriors content coming soon, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.